Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Personal Growth Talks podcast, where we discuss tips and strategies to help you grow, thrive, and become the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Jason, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Julia. Julia, how are you feeling today?
Hi, Jason. I'm feeling fantastic, and I'm so excited about today's episode. It's such an important topic, especially as we approach the new year. It's the perfect time for reflection, growth, and setting our sights on becoming the best version of ourselves in 2025.
Exactly. In today's episode, we're going to dive into practical ways to identify where you are right now, set powerful goals for the new year, build positive habits, and overcome challenges that might hold you back. By the end of this podcast, you'll have actionable steps to start your journey toward personal transformation.
That's right, Jason. Whether you're someone who's just beginning your personal growth journey or you've been working on yourself for years, there's always room to grow and improve. 2025 can truly be your breakthrough year.
So, grab a notebook, settle in, and let's get started. Let's kick things off by talking about where it all begins, understanding yourself and identifying your starting point. All right, Julia, before we can talk about setting goals and building habits, let's start with the most important step, figuring out where you are right now. Why do you think self-awareness is so crucial for personal growth?
It's absolutely essential, Jason. If you don't know your starting point, how can you map out the journey to where you want to be? Self awareness helps you understand your strengths, weaknesses, and the areas in your life that need improvement. It's like the foundation of a house. Without it, nothing else can stand strong.
That's a great analogy. One way to start is by asking yourself some honest questions. For example, what are my biggest strengths? What am I proud of achieving this year? What are the habits or patterns holding me back? Reflecting on these questions can give you a clear picture of where you're at.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to dig deep. It might even help to write your answers in a journal or talk them through with someone you trust. Another useful tool is feedback. Ask your friends, family, or colleagues for their perspective. Sometimes others can see things about us that we might overlook.
That's so true. And once you've identified your strengths, you can use them to your advantage. At the same time, recognizing your weaknesses isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about finding opportunities for growth.
Yes, and one thing to remember is to be kind to yourself during this process. Personal growth isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Accepting yourself as you are today is the first step to becoming who you want to be tomorrow.
Absolutely, Julia. So to everyone listening, take some time to reflect on your starting point. Write down your thoughts, be honest with yourself, and get ready to take that first step toward growth. Coming up next, we'll talk about setting clear and actionable goals for 2025. Now that you've identified where you are, the next step is to figure out where you want to go. Julia, when it comes to setting goals, why is it so important to be intentional?
Great question, Jason. Setting intentional goals gives your life direction. Without clear goals, it's like driving without a destination. You're just wandering aimlessly. Goals give you something to strive for and keep you focused, especially when things get tough.
Absolutely. But it's not just about setting any goals, it's about setting the right goals. One of the best methods is using the SMART framework. That means your goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Julia, can you break that down for us?
Of course. Let's start with specific. Instead of saying, I want to get better at English, say, I want to improve my English vocabulary by learning 10 new words every week. Being clear about what you want makes it easier to take action.
Right. And measurable means tracking your progress. For example, you can test yourself weekly on those 10 new words to see how well you've retained them. What about achievable?
This one's so important. Your goals should stretch you, but they also need to be realistic. If you've never run a mile, setting a goal to run a marathon next month might be too much. Start with something manageable, like running a 5K in 3 months.
Great point. Next is relevant, which is all about making sure your goals align with your bigger life vision. For instance, if your dream is to travel, improving your English or saving money for a trip would be highly relevant goals.
And finally, time bound. This means setting a deadline. Saying, I want to save $1,000 by June is much more effective than just saying, I want to save money. Deadlines keep you accountable.
Exactly, and let's not forget the importance of writing your goals down. Studies have shown that people who write down their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them. It's a simple step that makes a big difference.
Yes. And another tip is to break big goals into smaller, manageable steps. For example, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds in 2025, start with a goal to lose 2 pounds a month. Small wins build momentum.
That's so true, Julia. So to everyone listening, take some time to set your SMART goals for 2025. Write them down, make them actionable, and most importantly, make sure they inspire you. Up next, we'll talk about building the habits you need to achieve those goals. All right, we've identified where you are and set some exciting goals for 2025. But goals are just the destination. Habits are the engine that gets you there. Julia, why are habits so powerful in personal growth?
Great question, Jason. Habits are the small actions we do consistently, and they have a compounding effect over time. Think of it like planting seeds. One habit might not seem like much today, but over a year, it can grow into something life-changing. The best part? Good habits make success almost automatic.
That's a great way to put it. So let's talk about how to build these habits. One of the best strategies I've found is to start small. If you want to read more, don't aim to finish a book a week right away. Start with reading for just 5 minutes a day.
Exactly. Starting small not only makes the habit more manageable, but it also helps you build confidence. Once that habit feels easy, you can gradually increase the effort. Another tip is to tie your new habit to an existing one. This is called habit stacking. For example, if you want to meditate daily, do it right after brushing your teeth in the morning.
That's a fantastic idea, Julia. I also think environment plays a big role. If your environment makes it easier to stick to a habit, you're more likely to succeed. For instance, if your goal is to eat healthier, keep fresh fruits and vegetables in plain sight, and avoid buying junk food.
Yes, setting up your environment is a game changer. And let's not forget about tracking progress. Whether it's using an app or simply checking off a habit tracker, seeing your streak can be super motivating. It's like giving yourself a small reward every day.
Speaking of rewards, celebrating small wins is crucial. Even something as simple as saying, "Great job," to yourself can reinforce the habit. But on the flip side, Julia, what about breaking bad habits? Any tips there?
Absolutely. The key to breaking bad habits is replacing them with better ones. For example, if you tend to scroll through your phone in bed, replace that with reading a book or listening to a relaxing podcast. And, like with building habits, make the bad habit harder to do by adjusting your environment. Maybe keep your phone in another room at night.
That's such practical advice. And one more thing, be patient with yourself. Building habits takes time, and it's okay to slip up occasionally. What matters is getting back on track and staying consistent in the long run.
Exactly, Jason. So, to everyone listening, pick one habit to start today. Remember, small actions done consistently can lead to massive results. Up next, we'll tackle something we all face: how to overcome challenges and setbacks on your journey.
So, Julia, we've talked about setting goals and building habits, but let's face it, life doesn't always go according to plan. Challenges and setbacks are inevitable. How do you think people should approach these obstacles?
That's such an important topic, Jason. Challenges are a natural part of growth, and instead of seeing them as roadblocks, we need to view them as opportunities to learn and grow stronger. The key is to stay resilient and flexible when things don't go as planned.
Absolutely. One of the first steps is to reframe your mindset. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? That small shift can turn frustration into motivation.
That's a great point. Another important strategy is to break big challenges into smaller, manageable pieces. For example, if you're overwhelmed by a big project at work, focus on completing just the first step. Sometimes, taking that one small action can make the rest feel less intimidating.
Yes, and I'd add that leaning on a support system is crucial. Whether it's friends, family, or a mentor, talking about your challenges can give you fresh perspectives and encouragement. You don't have to face everything alone.
Exactly. And let's not forget self care. When we're stressed or overwhelmed, it's easy to neglect our well being, but that's when we need it most. Simple things like getting enough sleep, eating well, and taking breaks can make a huge difference in how we handle challenges.
That's so true. I also think it's important to celebrate progress, even when it's small. For example, if you're learning a new skill and hit a plateau, remind yourself how far you've come instead of focusing on how far you still have to go.
Yes. And another tip is to keep your why in mind. Remembering the bigger purpose behind your goals can help you push through tough times. For instance, if you're working hard to improve your English, think about how it will open up new opportunities for you in the future.
Exactly, Julia. And sometimes it's okay to step back and take a break. Challenges can feel overwhelming if you try to push through without rest. Taking a moment to recharge can give you the clarity and energy you need to tackle them more effectively.
Absolutely. And to everyone listening, remember, challenges are part of the journey. They don't define your progress unless you let them stop you. Every time you overcome a challenge, you become a stronger, more resilient version of yourself.
Well said, Julia. So if you're facing challenges, take a deep breath, reframe your mindset, and take one small step forward. Coming up next, we'll discuss how to stay consistent and motivated throughout the year. We've covered a lot so far, setting goals, building habits, and overcoming challenges. But here's the big question, Julia. How do you stay consistent and motivated over the long haul?
That's the golden question, Jason. Consistency is what transforms goals into results, but it's not always easy to stay motivated every single day, especially when life gets busy. A great starting point is to focus on your why. When you have a clear reason behind your actions, it's easier to keep going even when motivation dips.
That's such a good reminder. Another helpful tip is to create a routine. When something becomes part of your daily or weekly schedule, it requires less effort to stick with it. For example, if you want to work out, pick a specific time each day, like 7 a.m. after your coffee.
Absolutely. Routines are powerful because they take the decision making out of the equation. And speaking of decisions, simplifying your environment can help too. For instance, if you're trying to learn English, set up a specific space where you study and keep all your resources handy. That way, you're not wasting time searching for things.
Great point, Julia. And I think rewards are another big motivator. Celebrating small milestones along the way can keep you excited about the journey. Let's say you've completed a month of consistent practice. You could treat yourself to something special, like a fun activity or a small gift.
Yes, rewards work wonders. But Jason, what about those days when motivation is just nowhere to be found? How can people push through those tough days?
On those days, it's important to rely on discipline rather than motivation. Motivation is like a spark. It gets you started, but discipline is what keeps the fire burning. Even if you don't feel like doing the full task, try doing just a little. For example, if you're too tired for a full workout, do a 5-minute stretch instead.
I love that, Jason. And another thing that helps is having an accountability partner. When someone is checking in on your progress or cheering you on, it's much harder to give up. This could be a friend, a coach, or even an online community.
That's such a good idea. And let's not forget the importance of positive self-talk. Instead of saying, I'll never be fluent in English, say, I'm improving step by step and I'll get there. How you talk to yourself can either motivate you or discourage you.
Exactly. And one last tip, be flexible. Life isn't perfect, and sometimes things won't go as planned. If you miss a day or two, don't let guilt hold you back. Just refocus and get back on track. Consistency doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up more often than not.
Well said, Julia. So to all our listeners, consistency and motivation are like two sides of a coin. Build routines, celebrate wins, and stay kind to yourself along the way. Coming up, we'll wrap up with some final tips on becoming the best version of yourself in 2025. All right, Julia, we've had an amazing conversation today. Before we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with some actionable tips they can start using right away to become the best version of themselves in 2025. What's your first tip?
My first tip is simple. Take one small action today. Don't wait for the perfect moment or a new year to start working on your goals. It could be writing down your goals, reading one page of a book, or even just drinking an extra glass of water for your health.
That's a great one, Julia. My tip is to reflect regularly. Spend a few minutes at the end of each day or week reviewing your progress. Ask yourself what went well, what didn't, and what you can improve. Reflection helps you stay focused and adjust your approach when needed.
I love that, Jason. My second tip is to surround yourself with positivity. This could be inspirational books, podcasts, or people who motivate you to grow. Remember, your environment has a huge impact on your mindset and actions.
Absolutely. And here's my final tip. Be patient with yourself. Growth is a journey, not a sprint. Celebrate every step forward, no matter how small it feels. Consistency and kindness to yourself are the keys to lasting change.
Well said, Jason. So, to everyone listening, take these tips and start applying them one step at a time. The best version of yourself isn't created overnight. It's built through small, consistent actions over time.
Exactly. And remember, 2025 is your year to shine. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this podcast with anyone who might need a little extra motivation.
Yes, and let us know in the comments what action you're taking today to start your journey. Until next time, stay positive and keep growing.
Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We truly hope this episode has inspired you to take meaningful steps toward becoming the best version of yourself in 2025.
Remember, growth doesn't happen all at once. It's a journey of small, consistent actions. Every step you take brings you closer to your goals, so don't be afraid to start today.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who might benefit from these tips.
And we'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you're doing to improve yourself this year? Let us know in the comments below. We're here to cheer you on.
That's all for today. Stay motivated, keep learning, and remember, you have what it takes to make 2025 your best year yet.
Take care, and we'll see you next time on the Personal Growth Talks